Grim Soul Survival is a hardcore medieval version of Last Day on Earth, and while the differences of themes alone make these games feel very different, the devs of these two games have approached this genre in very different ways. In the past, I have praised the devs of Grim Soul Survival for keeping their game free to play and focusing on keeping the game challenging by tweaking enemies or fixing exploits, but not increasing the grind of the game. Now, there's obviously some grinding in all games, but Grim Soul was able to keep it easily achievable by a committed, talented player. Now, some of those praises were given at a time that Last Day on Earth had gone completely pay to win. Last Day on Earth required thousands and thousands of hours of grinding while offering a panoply of purchasable options to alleviate the pain of this excruciating grind. Since that time, Last Day on Earth has made a lot of amazing changes. The farm has significantly reduced how pay to play it is to breed dogs, and in update 1.9.4, skills became, in my opinion, completely free to play. The police station introduced a free option to get blueprints and some of the most difficult to attain materials for assembling mods. And if I understand one of their more recent announcements, it seems like they will be introducing a free to play way of getting the military pass, which would of course be a huge game changer. So Last Day on Earth has come a long way since I made that video about them being pay to play. It still requires a huge grind to play the game, but it seems to have been reduced to an attainable grind, like maybe 4 hours a day, which is a huge improvement. But in update 1.3, the devs of Grim Soul Survival made some game-changing improvements as well. Before that update, there were players that struggled to get the recipe to the torture chair or certain unique items that they were looking for. But now it seems that everyone that works hard for something ends up finding it just after a few days. They don't seem to want to reveal how their RNG system works, but it seems clear to me that they have made some significant changes to how to get rare items in their game. A great example of this is in getting the bridle to the horse. The bridle is in every way similar to the gas tank in Last Day on Earth, and the only way to find that piece is by completing the most difficult challenge of the game. But in Last Day on Earth, it took me dozens and dozens of tries to get the gas tank, and I was considered to get it early. In Grim Soul, however, I was able to get the bridle on the 5th try, and so far the stories that I'm hearing is that a lot of other players are getting it before the 5th try. But I don't want to focus too much on the bridle because during those 5 dungeon runs, I realized that Grim Soul is taking a different approach to their locations. Completing the dungeon 5 times blew through a ton of the items I had saved up. But now I have almost 3 full sets of scale armor, which, to give you a reference, that is stronger than assault armor will be when it comes out on Last Day on Earth. And I've gotten tons of unique weapons. In fact, not only is there a chance to get a unique weapon in the first chest of the dungeon and at the gatekeeper's hut, but you have a guaranteed chance of getting one in the second chest. Unique items have a lot more depth to them than even a fully modified weapon in Last Day on Earth. In fact, most of them have what Last Day on Earth would call an active skill, which doesn't exist yet in LDOE, but I think they might be coming soon. For example, this hammer ignores armor, this axe does double damage if your health is below 30, this flaming sword scares away the night guest, which is an awesome part of the game, and the night guest sickle can insta-kill an enemy. And there's a bunch of other unique items with their own active skills, and they keep adding more each update. In fact, they just added their first legendary weapon, which I haven't gotten yet, but it scares away enemies when you hit them with it. So basically, Grim Soul has set it up to where it costs more to do the dungeon than it does to do something like Bunker Alpha, but you are guaranteed to get amazing stuff. So it ends up being less of a grind because you don't have to do it as often to get what you want. Those of you who were with me when we did Bunker Alpha dozens and dozens of times, back when it would reset every day, know that it doesn't feel good to grind for resources to then go grind at a different location until we finally get what we want. Now, like I said, Last Day on Earth has changed a lot since then. They've made some amazing improvements lately. But even with their improvements, Grim Soul Survival has way less of a grind than Last Day on Earth, as long as you don't die a ton, which it is a harder game, so that might happen, but that's part of the reason I like it. They increase the difficulty, but decrease the grind. So if you're a really bad player, you might experience the same amount of grind that you do in Last Day on Earth. But if you overcome the challenges, you will experience way less of a grind in Grim Soul Survival. Well, that's it, guys. I hope that helps. If you want to know more about the differences between these two games, I cover almost all of them in this more comprehensive video on the subject. Since these games are in beta, they are constantly evolving. If you want to stay up to date on how these games develop during their beta process, I recommend subscribing to this channel. I cover all of these survival games in detail, and I try to be as unbiased as possible when sharing information with you guys. Alright guys, I'll see you next time.